The wasps are everywhere at the moment, it seems. I mentioned much earlier this morning, if you were with us just after 7, that I got bitten last night at a friend's house before we went to a bonfire party. And I couldn't believe it. Right in my neck. And the pain spread up through my head, and my jaw went numb. I wondered what was going on. I thought it was full-on anaphylaxis at one point. Anyway, there we are, a bucket of antihistamine later, and I managed to get through the rest of the evening. It's still a bit painful and stingy this morning. I thought that the wasps weren't even meant to be around at the moment, at this time of the year. Let's just... Hang on a minute. Hang on a second. Thank you. Let's speak to our wasp man, Tom Frost from Oxford's Pure Pest Solutions.
Good morning.
Thought I'd finish with that sound effect gag in the peak of the summer. Morning, Tom. What's going on? I'm hearing loads of stories this morning similar to mine.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, the wasps are still around. We did remember we had a huge hot summer, and what it means is the nest got very, very big. Now, just briefly on yours, you were inside, was that right, David?
Yeah, I was in a friend's kitchen, a friend of ours, yes.
Right, so that's very, very common. So what's happening? It is very cold outside. Now, it's important to remember that the wasps are they are dying. They are on their last. They're really getting ready for next year. So they're producing males and females and things like that. Which essentially they're looking to produce these queens, which then hibernate. That nest dies, and then they can start again next year. But what does happen now? It's cold outside, and they think, well, I'll just stay inside. So you've probably got a newborn. It's probably very dozy. They tend to die on the windowsills. Usually quite a few of them. They come through a little crack of light. I assume if it was in the evening, they would have had lights on. So they're coming through thinking maybe it's the sun, it's warm, happy days. Unfortunately, it's not. And you're in the wrong place at the wrong time. And unfortunately, you got stung. And it's quite painful, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And it lasts for quite a few days as well, doesn't it? Everyone's saying it can go on for a week or so.
It does. It turns into a bit of a throb, I must say. It's fairly rare I get stung. I mean, we do hundreds and hundreds of nests. But this year I did get stung. I got chased around the garden by some rather unhappy wasps in quite comedic fashion. But
how did you know they were unhappy? Or how can you tell whether they're either unhappy or just having a party?
Well, do you know, there tends to be the troublesome ones are actually the male wasps, mostly because they're kicked out of the nest. They're not actually needed once they've produced, once they produce some queens. I mean, there is a reality, of course. If you do see them, it's usually a bathroom you'd get them in just because of, you think the lighting we've got in a bathroom, there's more ways into the ceiling. Chances are there is a nest up there. But even when they're drowsy, even when they're dead on the floor, if you stand on them barefoot in the night, you will still get stung, even when they're not with us, yeah.
On the bathroom thing, I've heard 3 stories this morning about wasps in the bathroom, including one from my wife saying there's one in the bathroom at home. So you're saying this could be a nest and they're getting in through an air vent or something?
In that case, yes. So there's a fair possibility that up in your loft you do have a nest, you have a wasp nest. Bearing in mind it was such a big year for wasps, some of them would have been missed.
Right.
So,
but we haven't got a loft. We live in the loft, so there could be somewhere. Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. Now, what that can mean, at this time of year, the only thing you can do is get up close and personal with the nest and literally destroy it, remove it, rather than treat it, which is what we would have done a few months ago. If you can't do that, if you can't gain access to it, i.e. it's in a wall cavity, then there isn't too much you can do apart from our advice generally is to tape yourself in. It sounds silly, but if you block the holes that they're actually coming into the bathroom, then they'll be wherever they are.
Tape yourself in? If I go home and say to my wife, we've got to tape ourselves in, she'll think I've lost the plot. To be serious, I mean, the two sides of this are, it can be nasty. I mean, most wasp bites are pretty innocent, but you can have an anaphylactic reaction, can't you?
Absolutely. Anaphylaxis is extremely serious. I mean, depending on the people, on the person, and how they do react to it. But some people, yeah, absolutely, it kills people year on year. I think that when it's at its worst is when a nest is agitated in some way, and they will defend the nest, and that's where you get multiple stings. And yes, that is a problem and extremely serious.
And just one final question while we've got you here, Tom. You're always so helpful. What does a wasp nest look like then? I wouldn't know what it looked like.
So a wasp, we've got. Well, I mean, best things if you go on our website, we've got some nice pictures of. We do when you actually see them. Predominantly, when you see them, you'll just see them coming in and out of an area. But to actually see the nest, I would describe it. It will be the same colour as your garden furniture, because that's what they tend to use. They tend to like chew up the edges of your wooden garden furniture, kind of like paper mache, and then they just stick it on the edge of their nest. So it's kind of like a basketball, but a slightly flat basketball in that sort of colour, in that wooded colour.
Really interesting. Thank you, Tom. Good to speak to you again. Thank you for your help this morning. It's Tom Frost, our regular wasp man from Oxford's Pure Pest Solutions. It's 8:55.